Please welcome the Consul General of Italy in New York, Francesco Genualdi.
Buonasera. Buonasera a tutti. Good evening, everybody. What an honor, what a pleasure to be here at Gracie Mansion, the residence of the mayor of the city of New York, for the traditional kickoff of the Italian Cultural Heritage Month and the Columbus Day celebrations. Let me express deeply heartfelt emotion to be here and to be the first speaker. I take the freedom to say benvenuti, benvenuti questa sera, because of course it's a sign tonight of the strength of the beautiful Italian community here in New York. Let me just express three big feelings on behalf of all the community, Italian community of New York. These are not just feelings, but I think guidelines of our action. The first one is pride, a deep sense of pride for the Italian community here, for the history of the Italian community, for all the immigrants who came to the city of New York by sea, by air, throughout the years. I don't want to forget also the oldest migration of the 19th century, all the people who came here with a lot of courage, and all the people in the Italian immigrants who took special care of other immigrants. It's an amazing story, and it's still going on because now we have a different migration. We have young start-uppers who have joined the tech community of New York. We have researchers, we have businessmen. The second feeling is gratitude. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, First Lady. A big grazie for opening the doors, not just of your residents, but of New York City to Italians. We feel at home. New York is our home, and this is also because of this fantastic feeling of hospitality you have. You are a fantastic host in this city. And the third feeling is enthusiasm, because I look at the challenges ahead, I look at the future. I think that the most beautiful page is the one of the history of Italy and New York, is the one we still have to write together. We have to face a lot of challenges in the cultural field, in the Italian language field, and we will face it and win it together, insieme with the mayor, with the administration. Grazie, and the spirit of friendship is very high and deep. And in this spirit, I have the honor, the privilege to introduce you to the First Lady of New York, Shirley. Grazie, viva l'Italia!
Buonasera a tutti! Benvenuti a Gracie Mansion! Questa è la casa di tutti e siete sempre benvenuti qui. Sono molto felice di stare qui con tutti voi. I am so happy to be here with all of you tonight. I'm thrilled. You are so beautiful. We have so many city and community leaders and Italian-American civic organizations and cultural organizations who all came out here tonight to celebrate. And we are delighted to be entertained by the lovely Alessandra Belloni and I Giulari di Piazza. Let me tell you, her music takes me back 25 years ago when Bill and I got married. You know, she performed at our wedding. So let's thank them for sharing their music and their Italian pride with all of us tonight. Grazie mille. Now let me ask you a question. Do you know how the great Nora Ephron responded when she was asked to share her memoir with just 6 words? Do you? No? Okay, well, she wrote, "Secret of Life. Merry and Italian." Truly, I have to say, I agree. Don't you? Yes. The Italian familia I married into has enriched my life in so many ways, more ways than I can count. Just as the Italian Americans who call New York home have enriched our city beyond measure, the early waves of Italian immigrants helped pave the way for all those who came after, opening doors to opportunity, fighting against discrimination, and serving those less fortunate. And today, in my own work, I see example after example of Italian Americans coming together to support each other and all those in need. Through their generous support of organizations like Catholic Charities, Italian Americans are helping to create supportive housing for New Yorkers in need and connect people to mental health. In Borough Park, the senior citizen center known as Amico, the American Italian Coalition of Organizations, is working with Thrive NYC to provide mental health services and support for New Yorkers aged 60 and over. Yes, I think they deserve a lot of applause. And Italian Americans of faith have joined our Thrive Weekend of Faith every year to speak openly about mental health. That's especially important because we can all do more to end the stigma and listen without judgment to our loved ones and neighbors. Now, if you or someone you care about needs a little extra support, I've got a number for you. I want you to remember it. It's 1-888-NYC-WELL. Can you please say it with me? 1-888-NYC-WELL. One more time, I didn't hear everyone. 1-888-NYC-WELL. You know, if you call that number, anyone can speak to a trained counselor for free. Did you hear me say free? For free. Will you please help me spread the word? Will you please help me spread the word? I said, will you please help me spread the word? All right, and now, it is my pleasure to introduce my longtime Italian lover. He's been celebrating his Italian roots all over town, lately from the San Gennaro meatball eating contest to the New York Pizza Festival. I hope you all got there. Please welcome, mi amore mio, Mayor Bill de Blasio.
I'm going to teach Charlene some Italian now. Ti voglio bene. That means I love you. There's your language lesson. Buonasera a tutti. I want to thank Charlene. I have said many times she is the most Italian, non-Italian I've ever met in my life. When she goes to Italy, she falls in love every time with Italy. She loves our culture, our cuisine, and she agreed with passione. She agreed to name our children Chiara and Dante. So she loves our people. Everyone, benvenuti nella Casa del Popolo. La Casa del Popolo, the people's house. We are so happy to have you here tonight and to celebrate our culture, our history, everything we have done for the city of New York and the United States of America, everything Italian Americans have contributed. I want to start my remarks by asking you, look around for a moment. Look at the people here in this audience. Italian Americans and people who want to be Italian Americans. There's only two kinds of people. Italian Americans who have contributed so much to this place and made it so wonderful. Look around and give your neighbor a round of applause. Now, we have behind me a group of dignitaries, public servants who do so much for all of us. And I want to thank them. I'm going to tell you their names. I want you to give them your appreciation. But first, I'm going to ask the Italian Americans to come forward because it's our night. Will you join me in thanking our amazing Fire Commissioner, Dan Nigro? The President and CEO of the School Construction Authority, Lorraine Grillo. Our Commissioner for Environmental Protection, Vinnie Sapienza. Our Buildings Commissioner, brand new Commissioner, Melanie LaRocca. A man who has done so much good for this city, the General Manager of NYCHA, Vito Mostacciolo. And another great member of his administration had to leave earlier, but he's amazing, our Commissioner for the Office for People with Disabilities, Victor Calisi. Let's clap for him also. Okay, now for members of the administration who wish they were Italian. Deputy Mayor Phil Thompson. Labor Relations Commissioner Renee Campion. Community Affairs Commissioner Marco Carrion. Our Commissioner for Media and Entertainment, Ann Del Castillo. Cultural Affairs Commissioner Tom Finkelpearl. She's leaving us, but we will always love her, our Veteran Services Commissioner Lori Sutton. Chair of City Planning, Marisa Lago. Chair of the Campaign Finance Board, Frederick Schaefer. Director of the NYC Unity Project, Ash McGovern. Ash brought a cheering section. We encourage that. And then two people who had a lot to do with what we do here at Gracie Mansion and these amazing events we put on. First, someone who helps our First Lady do all of her great work, her Chief of Staff, Roxanne John. And second, the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office for Special Projects and Community Events, Melissa Brown. And we also have an elected official with us, and we want to thank him for joining us. He's come to a lot of our events, Assembly Member David Weprin. If I miss anyone, our crack staff will give me a note. But let me also thank, of course, mi vero amico. Our Consul General is amazing, what he does for the relationship between Italy and New York City. Absolutely outstanding. Francesco Genuardi, thank you. Grazie mille. Okay, here's your trivia question of the night. Who was the first mayor to live in Gracie Mansion? Fiorello is correct. You win the prize. You get a free pizza. You get to go to the pizza oven over here and get a pizza. Fiorello LaGuardia. There are some things in life that are just true. There has never been a greater mayor, there will never be a greater mayor than Fiorello LaGuardia. That is the truth. And as an Italian American, that makes me very, very proud. He is the ultimate. He is the gold standard. He wanted this to be a place for everyone because he knew that that's what makes New York City great. And remember, as once again our country tries to go through its identity crisis and figure out who we are, when our people came to this country, when Italians came to this country, we were not accepted. Let's be clear. We went through a lot before this country finally began to embrace us. No matter how much good Italians did here, it took a long time. And we've seen that over and over again through history. But I want to tell you a very quick story from my own family. My Aunt Yola, may she rest in peace, she died a few years ago at the age of 95. And her father, Giovanni, came here from a small town, Sant'Agata dei Goti, provincia di Benevento. And she told me when she was a child, daughter of an immigrant, and she had, she spoke differently than some of the other kids, and she ate different foods, and it smelled different, and the kids would make fun of her at school. And she would go home to my grandfather and she would say, you know, what she's supposed to do, they're making fun of her. And she told me, at the age of 95, she told me this, and she told me it like it had happened yesterday. She said, my grandfather told her to be proud that you are an Italian, to be proud of our heritage and all we have contributed to he used the word fieri, pride, to remind her to always stand up straight and know that if you're an Italian, you are part of something absolutely beautiful. And that's something we all can share tonight. So Italians helped to build this city brick by brick, stone by stone, and the names of Italians are everywhere in this city, the Verrazzano Bridge and Zuccotti Park. And if you're someone like me who really loves food, then you know names like Di Fara Pizzeria or Pasticceria Bruno in Staten Island. Our language, our culture defines so much in New York City. Can we agree New York City would not be the greatest city in the world if it were not for the Italians? Do you agree? The people have spoken. So our ancestors made a leap of faith. They came here because they believed they could create something wonderful for their families, and they did. And we are all the beneficiaries. So tonight, as we do each year, we get to honor someone who really is a great example of our community and a great example of that journey of our people here to this country and what we then gave back to this country. So I'm going to bring up I'm so proud of this guy. He is a true son of Italy in every sense and a true New Yorker. And I'm going to say a few words about him, but I got to bring him out here now so you can appreciate him. Yes, you're coming out here. Tony Danza, you are coming out here right now. Okay, there are so many things to like about Tony Danza. Can I just tell you this? Let's begin with this fact. Born and raised in Brooklyn. His mother came from Sicily, from a town called Campobello di Mazzara. She worked as a bookkeeper to help her family, and his father, Matty, his family was from Napoli. Any Napoletani here? Forza Napoli. Tony's dad, Matty, was a sanitation worker. So he had a family, the salt of the earth, working to make a life for themselves. And they didn't know back then that they had brought into the world someone who would be a joy to all the rest of us. And Tony is a great example of what the American dream is all about. So I'm going to tell you the story. Tony, you're going to tell me if anything's wrong with the story here, but one day at a boxing gym in Brooklyn, he was spotted by a producer and cast in a little TV show known as Taxi. He became a star overnight. Then, as if that wasn't enough, there was a little TV series called Who's the Boss? That led to 40 years as a leading entertainer, movies, TV, Broadway, even a cookbook.
What's it called?
I don't know what it's called.
It's called Don't Fill Up on the Antipasta.
Don't fill up on... Those are words to live by. So he's a proud, proud Italian-American. He's also one of the ultimate New Yorkers. If anyone wants to show the world what a New Yorker is like, one of the people they go to first. And I'm so proud of this because I think if the world thinks of New York City like Tony Danza, we're doing pretty good, right? We could honor him just for those things, but we're also honoring him because of what he does for this city. He, when he was a kid, the Police Athletic League was there for him. So he returned the favor. And over the last 5 years, Tony's been on the board of the Police Athletic League, helping the kids of today. And he established an amazing group through the Police Athletic League acting program. He established the acting program, I'm sorry, and the Cops and Kids Chorus. And you're going to hear from them in a moment. What a beautiful thing. What an example of the future of this city, this beautiful chorus. So, before you hear from the chorus, you're going to hear from Tony, but I have one last official duty, which is to provide Tony with this proclamation. Now, okay, first, come over here. Now, hold that 1 second, Tony, because I have to tell you, this is not your average proclamation, everybody. This part says lots of nice things about Tony, and they're all true. But the last part is the special part. It says, I, Bill de Blasio, Mayor of the City of New York, do hereby proclaim Thursday, October 10th, 2019, in the City of New York as Tony Danza Day.
Yeah, wow. Holy mackerel. Man, oh Manischewitz, what a wine. You know, he mentioned my father was a garbage man for the city, and he would be really proud that his son got a proclamation here at Gracie Mansion from the mayor of New York. I just want you to know. By the way, you know, his route, one of the blocks on his route was where we lived and where I went to school. But I was always so proud of him because he used to drop me off at school with the truck. Yeah. But anyway, I'm so, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, First Lady. Thank you so much for your kind words. I'm not good at this, but I'm really excited to be here in the city I love, getting this honor, and especially on Italian Heritage Night. Yes. Io sono totalmente italiano e sono così orgoglioso. No, so I moved back to New York in 2011 after 35 years in LA. And I know it's time. I needed to come home, and when I got here, I wanted to be a help. I try to be a help to the city, to the city's kids, because that's what I think I kind of am still, a city kid. And I think it's a lot harder to be a city kid nowadays than was when I was a city kid in East New York in Brooklyn. Yeah, I know, East New York, baby, yeah. Yeah. So as the mayor said, my father was a sanitation man, a garbage man on the city, and like I said, he'd be so proud tonight, he really would. And but when I got back to New York, I began to volunteer at a youth development program on 42nd Street called the All Stars Project. And I taught there for about 3 years, teaching kids acting and about life and watching how kids develop when they perform. And from, oh no, I forgot what I did. Oh, I forgot where I was. Well, anyway, the next day, it's one day I got invited to the swearing-in ceremony for Bill Bratton, the police commissioner. I'm proud to say we're friends. And so I took a cab down, and on the way downtown, the cabbie and I started talking. It turned out we were both pal kids when we were young. So I get to the ceremony, I find a seat, I sit next to this guy, I introduce myself, I ask him what he does. He says he's the chairman of the PAL Board of Directors. And after a while we talk, and he asked me if I would like to be on the board. He knew I was a fighter and an ex-fighter, and he said I could be the new face of PAL boxing. And I was flattered, but I thought, gee, boxing, we're gonna attract 3 kids and hurt them, you know. So out of that was born the PAL Teen Acting Program. And the PAL Teen Acting Program really works. They like it. And there's a slogan we have. It's PAL Teen Acting because when you teach a kid how to act, you teach a kid how to act. Yeah, and it works. It really does. And it's amazing, after just a few classes, how the most reluctant kid, the most reluctant defensive kid, all of a sudden is worried about supporting his ensemble, you know? You know, we started with 12 kids, reluctant kids in Harlem, with a small grant from HBO, and we're over 500 kids now in the program. Anyway, ever since then, now you're going to see the Cops and Kids Chorus, which I'm really excited about. But here's the other thing. The program is really important at this particular time, I think, okay? And here's why. I say, you know, unlike when I was a kid, or even like when I was on TV in the 90s, it seems to me that society on the whole, whether it be government or the corporate community, has sort of abdicated any responsibility at the communal raising of our children. And certainly any responsibility to help their parents nurture and raise their kids. You know, when I was on TV in the 90s, I know it's a long time ago, but there was a family hour where you could only show certain shows because there were kids watching, you know, and there was a standards and practices department, which drove us crazy, but it tried to keep us adhering to the dictum that with great responsibility comes, with great influence comes great responsibility. And I personally, I wasn't proselytizing or preaching on my show, but every week I worried about what the message was. What message were we sending? There were kids watching, and I wanted their parents to know that it was safe for the kids to watch it and even good for them to watch it. You know, today, you know, kids are just like anybody else. They're just consumers. And the powers that be, you know, they're not interested in anything else but profits. And unfortunately, the kids and their families are suffering for it. You know, if you watch the movies or the TV shows or listen to the music videos, etc., that are targeted at our kids, and I mean targeted, it doesn't bode well for their development. And this is all amplified by social media. You know, when kids are inundated with gunplay violence and anti-heroes who seem to have made it big, it's not surprising that kids think that's a good model. And we shouldn't be surprised when they act out. You know, Mr. Mayor, as you know, in the month of June, we had 16 people in New York City hit by stray bullets, even little kids. So once a kid picks up a gun, that's about it. That's what we're trying to do. Trying to get them before we lose them, you know, trying to give them something else to think about. You know, and then surround them in a safe place where they can let their guard down and develop. Yes, yes, I know. You know, that's what we're trying to do, give them something to think about. You know, it's hard for a kid to find a good role model out there nowadays, but when they do, it makes a big difference. And listen, I really don't want to sound moralistic. I really don't. I'm not calling for any kind of censorship. I'm not calling for, you know, I'm a big believer in free expression, but I'm also a big believer that with great influence comes at least some responsibility. I mean, after all, think about it. We all grew up with nothing but love songs and romance, and look how we turned out. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the First Lady. I really appreciate this great honor. I just wish my parents could be here. I really do. Man. I want to thank my brother Matty for flying in. My brother made it. Matty, you're the greatest. Thank you. There he is. Thank you, bro. You know. Oh, my God. Oh, and you know, lastly, I just want to thank the mayor in particular. I just want to remind everyone how important it is his bringing preschool to every 3- and 4-year-old in this city. I can't think of anything that will have as big a difference, make as big a difference for as many kids. There's just nothing else. So that's what we should be doing. We should be thinking about our kids' futures and then doing something about it. Thank you very much. Wait till you hear the Cops and Kids chorus. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm almost better. I never was happier to be on the stage.
All right, everybody, this is going to be a treat. Now, I want to tell you about this group as they come out. This is NYPD officers who help to protect our city every day, and then on top of that, dedicate time to young people to help them develop their talent. And Tony has done so much work to help make this come alive. So let's welcome them with a huge round of applause, the PAL Cops and Kids Chorus.
Challenges we face at times
can overtake the conscience of the mind.
emotions running high
In no direction
to find. I choose a life over defeat.
and I choose life over defeat.
Hopscotch, double dutch, crooked teeth with loose laces, milk crates and dice decided your life. You grow wise, the time flies, they don't believe you. Make them a believer, negative minds that try to hinder you. Ah, look what I could do. Overcome the impossible, triumph over the obstacle.
Rescue us that special place, equipped indeed to live. No more distractions, I am professing everlasting triumph. Night after night of hearing the thunder roll,
I fall, I cry. Sometimes mistakes unfold.
Take this. No, don't put us on the spot. All right. You will leave him one more. Remember that dictum? Yeah.